Greetings. Last week, we talked about our deepest authentic self and how that self is centered in relationship with God and continually being transformed by God's grace. As we express our authentic self, then that transformation deep within us will become visible to the world through our actions as we live in the world. Bishop Jake Owensby, in his book, A Full-Hearted Life, Following Jesus in This Secular Age, talks about this. He talks about living a full-hearted life as living for the sake of the love that we give one another. And this is, of course, living according to the commandment that Jesus gave us to love our neighbor. The question is, of course, what exactly does that look like? I think we can consider living that full-hearted, authentic life in loving our neighbors in two ways. The first is personally, right, with the people we encounter in our lives. And the second is globally, as we think about the world and humanity in general. Loving our neighbor personally, so our family, our friends, the people we encounter as we go about our days, it involves things like serving others, learning to forgive, learning to channel our anger in constructive ways, and having the courage to face our own suffering and the suffering of the world without becoming jaded on the one hand, or lashing out and causing more suffering on the other hand. I want to acknowledge that this is the work of a lifetime. And I also want to look at how we live a full-hearted life by loving our neighbors in that larger sense, where we take into account the systems we live in, our cultural norms, the realities of national and global commerce, and the creation itself. In this broader sense, living a full-hearted life in relationship with God involves striving for justice and peace among all people and respecting the dignity of every human being. That should sound familiar because it's part of the baptismal covenant in the Book of Common Prayer. That means working to be sure that every person's full humanity is honored by our society. Every person, including those that are often left out, marginalized, ignored, invisible. That's a big task. And this includes working to transform our system to create economic justice for all. It includes working to dismantle racism and the inequalities that racism has created in our society. It includes creating access for everyone to everything necessary for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, including equal protection of the law, an equal say in our government, appropriate health care, education, and a universal social safety net so that no one falls between the cracks. It's a lot. And this isn't limited to the United States, but it's really for the whole planet. We won't get there in our lifetime. But following Jesus in this world and living a full-hearted life means continuing to follow Jesus' commandments to love God and to love our neighbors. Jesus' love for his neighbors continued even after his closest friends abandoned him and he was hanging on the cross. Even then, Jesus asked God to forgive his executioners, and he spoke lovingly to the criminal who was being crucified next to him. Next week is Holy Week, and I invite you to intentionally bring this journey of living a full-hearted life with you during your Holy Week observances. This time and these reflections during Lent are meant to inform and impact us for the rest of the year and for the rest of our lives as we continue on the journey of discipleship. Thank you for journeying with me and Bishop Jake over the past several weeks. Blessings.